U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is embarking on a week-long trip to Central Europe as the United States looks to confront Russian and Chinese competition in Europe, both economically and geopolitically. The top U.S. diplomat is visiting the Czech Republic, Slovenia, Australia, and Poland this week. Pompeo will become the first Secretary of State since 2011 to visit Slovenia, the homeland of First Lady Melania Trump. He will sign a joint declaration on 5G technology as Washington is countering risks posed by Communist China's infiltration into high-tech networks in the region. The trip comes as the Pentagon prepares to move forward with a plan to pull almost 12,000 troops from Germany and redeploy part of the U.S. forces to Poland and other NATO nations. That's raising concerns at home and in Europe, even as senior officials defend it as a strategic necessity. Ambassador Philip Rieker, the State Department's acting Assistant Secretary for European and Eurasian Affairs, said Pompeo will discuss with his counterparts the just completed U.S.-Poland Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement. The pact is meant to further strengthen the broad transatlantic security. The defense deal enables the United States for rotational presence of an additional 1,000 U.S. troops to enhance deterrence against Russia and strengthen NATO. About 4,500 U.S. personnel are already on rotation in Poland. Mauritius Prime Minister Pravind Jugnauth told the Indian Ocean island nation to prepare for the worst-case scenario after a crippled Japanese ship leaked oil off the coast. He said in televised remarks on Monday that the ship has stopped leaking, but the salvage team has observed several cracks, which means they're facing a very serious situation. Clashes between protesters and police broke out across Belarus on Monday during a second night of demonstrations following Sunday's national election in which the country's longtime president was declared the winner. Alexander Lukashenko, in power for 26 years, said on Monday that opposition protesters would face a tough crackdown, describing them as sheep manipulated by foreign masters. Police said Monday that one protester died in the country's capital, Minsk, when he tried to throw an explosive device that blew up in his hand. Rights groups said a protester died after being run over by a police truck, which authorities denied. Rights groups also said dozens of people have been injured in the police crackdown. Several hundred protesters were reported to have been arrested. Photos and videos of the protests circulated online, despite a widespread shutdown of the internet, limiting access to social media. The country's Central Election Commission said Monday that after all ballots were counted, Lukashenko took 80.23% of the votes. The main opposition candidate, Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya, took 9.9%. Speaking from her headquarters, Tsikhanouskaya said she did not recognize the outcome. She has submitted a formal request for a recount to the Central Election Commission. Lebanon's government has resigned in the aftermath of last Tuesday's devastating explosion at Beirut's port and angry public protests that followed. Lebanon's Prime Minister Hassan Diab announced the move Monday night. Diab did not say when new elections would be held. He laid the blame for the country's myriad problems at the feet of the country's political elite who have ruled Lebanon since the end of the civil war nearly 30 years ago. He said they've caused political and economic devastation and brought about last week's tragedy. The massive blast killed 160 people, injured thousands, and left more than 250,000 people homeless. It's been blamed on the explosion of 2,750 metric tons of ammonium nitrate that had been improperly stored at Beirut port for 6 years. And Hong Kong media tycoon and staunch democracy advocate Jimmy Lai was one of the 7 people arrested Monday on charges of violating the new national security law in Hong Kong imposed by China. The newspaper Apple Daily, which is published by Lai's Next digital company, said the 72-year-old Lai was taken from his home on suspicion of colluding with a foreign country.